All right, guys. So I put together kind of a Frankenstein PowerPoint here to help you guys kind of learn about how to write a DBQ. I'm not going to go through all the slides individually as I go through this PowerPoint. I mean, it's also linked into Blackboard just as the PowerPoint presentation. You guys know how to read. You can go back and read also. But I thought I'd just kind of go through some of the bigger points, some of the more important things in this PowerPoint. I call it a Frankenstein PowerPoint because I basically took some PowerPoints from Mrs. Pinto, some PowerPoints from Mr. Livingston, added a little bit of my own twist, kind of pushed it all together, mashed it all together. Hence the really bad opening PowerPoint slide here, the AP Euro DBQ. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the AP Euro DBQ. Basically, the AP Euro DBQ, to write a good one, is kind of like a cheeseburger. All right, that's kind of like the corny way of putting it. You need to have the three parts of the cheeseburger: the top bun, the meat section, and the base, the bottom bun. The top of the bun is your introductory paragraph. About 3 to 6 sentences is your introductory paragraph. In the introductory paragraph, the first thing you need to do is establish a time and a place. Second, you're going to create a clear thesis statement. The thesis statement is probably the most important aspect of it. And you're going to allude to all their subtopics in this sentence, or this paragraph, kind of talking about all the things you're going to hit. Not a laundry list, just kind of, this is what I'm going to be talking about. This is how I'm going to support my thesis. And make sure you focus on the question at hand. The DBQ guys who are grading this are not interested in how great of a writer you are. They're not interested in how fancy you can write. They're interested in the facts and you answering the question. All right, so make sure that this introductory paragraph kind of hits these 4 areas. We're going to talk about it as your introductory paragraph should be hot. All right, and here in a second. Now, the introductory paragraph, since we're looking at it, is probably the most important in the entire essay because it's going to get the most attention by the grader, and they're going to spend the most amount of time looking at your introductory paragraph because it sets the stage for the entire thing. If they read your introductory paragraph and it's a good paragraph, they're going to also assume that the rest of your essay is good. Now, it doesn't mean they're not reading the rest of your essay. It just puts a good taste in their mouth as graders. All right, now I talked about the DBQ introductory paragraph should be hot. Now, what I mean by that, HO meaning historical overview, T meaning thesis. Your introductory paragraph should have 2 parts. First, it must have the historical overview, which we were kind of talking about before. Establishing the setting for the question. Provide a brief description. Talk about what's going on, peripherals around the question, peripherals around your thesis. 2 or 3 sentences. Not looking for all the details in the world, and you're not just introducing the actual question. You're talking about what's going on. If we're talking about the Reformation, talk about what's going on in the Reformation. All right, then we have our thesis, which Mrs. Prentice is one of Mrs. Prentice's things, just like hot. She says that your thesis should be as strong as acid. And basically what acid means is A, meaning all aspects of the topic are addressed. C, it has a clear position on your thesis. Don't be Charlie Brown. Don't be wishy-washy. All right, I, infrastructure to build on, should have a good foundation of your thesis that you can build the whole body off of. Your whole body of your essay should be built off of the foundation laid by the thesis. Then it should have direct targets, directly targeting the question. Hitting the question, all aspects of the question. Don't leave a part out. Don't forget about answering the question. And your thesis definitely, I know I already said this once, definitely should not just be restating the question. All right, here we have a nice little example of a good DBQ introduction. You guys can go back and read this on your own. Then let's talk about the next part. The next part of your DBQ should be the meat paragraphs, the body. 8 to 12 sentences per paragraph. All right. Now personally, I think that's a little bit long. This is a piece I stole from another essay or another PowerPoint. But your essay, explain yourself. Like I said, it's going to be about 2 pages typed in length. You're looking at taking a solid half an hour to write this bad boy. You want to have some meat to your paragraphs. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be vague. Attack the question. All right. Some of the important things you need to cover in the meat of your paragraphs is when you're really knocking out the core ideas or the basic core when they're coming to grade. You're going to identify the subtopics of your category in the first sentence of each paragraph. So each time you start a new paragraph, make sure you identify, I'm talking about this part of my thesis now. All right, you're including documents that are relevant to support the ideas in your paragraph. All right, so this is where you're starting to bring in the documents. You don't have the documents in your introductory paragraph. You don't see your documents coming in until these meat paragraphs. Use most of the documents. You know, the grading rubric I gave you guys today said 70%. That's a good number. So if you got 10 paragraph or 10 documents, you want to have 7 of them in there. All right. Be sure to indicate the point of view and bias in the different documents. Remember, we have to group the documents. Is a great thing to group them on as their point of view or their bias. Bring in supportive outside information. You guys know what you're talking about. All right. When they're asking you a question about the Reformation, you know about the Reformation. Talk about the outside information. Talk about what's going on. They should be happening throughout the entire essay, not just in the body. And make sure you kind of allude to why these documents selected. Why are they important to this? I don't know why it's highlighting all this stuff. That's kind of really annoying. Okay. All right, this is some good stuff Mrs. Pinto has about integrating the information. I'm gonna let you guys just kind of go back on your own. You can skim through and read that stuff. The one thing that I want to point out is how to cite a source. Whenever you're citing, there's a specific way to cite which documents you're using. And it's just how it has it here. You want to make sure that you're citing them just if you're quoting it, alluding to it in any way. All right, you're just kind of alluding to what they says in this document. I'm citing these specific words from this document. You have to put this in parentheses, doc, and then whatever letter doc, doc A, doc B. Don't just write in, as they say in document C, blah, 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 blah. That's incorrect. You got to have in parentheses, doc, whatever. All right. One of the big things that they hark on is demonstrating point of view and bias in the question in the documents. All right, point of view and bias are important aspects to understanding and interpreting the documents. What you're going to see here in the next couple of slides is just them demonstrating point of view and bias. And I think I'm actually just going to kind of skip ahead. If you guys have questions about these, we can take care of them during class. And finally, after going through all the meat paragraphs of your essay, you need to have a good concluding paragraph, one that really wraps up and holds the whole thing together. About 3 or 4 sentences, you're just kind of hitting the important topics here at the end. All right, and that's basically, actually, okay, guys, the last thing I wanted to look at here, just kind of pull back up this scoring guide that I gave you guys today during class. Just make sure that you're using this and you're looking over this again tonight. Tomorrow when we're in class, we're going to be looking at this and comparing them to actual answers from 2012. All right, so when you're looking at this, they got a basic core. Make sure that we have all 6 of these things going on. And then on top of that, you have to have, you want to have your extended core if you want to get that 9 score. All right, remember, a lot of these things are coming out of the thesis. All right, we're talking about our perfectly explicit thesis. One of the points based totally on the thesis. All right, and then you're demonstrating, make sure you're using those documents. Make sure you go through and read about point of view in that PowerPoint, using point of view, pointing out the point of view in the documents. Now, in the future, we'll be talking a little bit more about interpreting primary sources and that sort of thing to help yourself out. But this is stuff you guys know how to do. You've done it before. You've done it a million times. All right, every history class you've ever taken, you look at primary sources. So make sure that you guys are familiar with how to break down the primary source analysis and that sort of thing. Now, going ahead, you guys, I mentioned this in class, our DBQ this week is going to be on the Reformation. So if you are concerned about that sort of thing, maybe you want to refresh your brain on the Reformation and start looking over these things a little bit more and just be prepared for that in class. All right, guys, make sure you take your quiz on this. You get as many tries as you want to take the quiz. The highest score counts, so everybody get a 5 out of 5. Don't waste your time and get less than 5 out of 5, guys. Give me points. All right, I'll see you guys in class.